What's going on, guys? This is Kaishra. Welcome back. So we are back with another video. On this video, we are going to tackle the Uncrowned Kings local meta game report video that will cover tournament results and decklist reviews for the past week. We have October 30 to November 5, so a week-long span of tournament results and decklist reviews. So we are going to see which decks are doing well at the start of our November on this OCG October format and Foes Phantom Nightmare format. So without further ado, let's start. Coming at first, we have Arcanium Hobbies. On first place, we have Labyrinth. From Garaito92, our friend from Indonesia, Gaza. Shoutouts to you. So this list is pretty much linear. It plays the Aries package with a bunch of powerful trap cards like Dogmatica Punishment and D-Barrier and the Daruma Cannon. So the goal of this deck is still the same for the Aries package. It wants to turbo out those powerful trap cards and have early access on playing these cards. I really want to commend the D-Barrier on the main deck of this list, because most people from Japan have already been side decking the copy of Dimensional Barrier on their Labyrinth deck list, which I don't understand why, because I really think that this card is very strong against Purely and Centurion, which are very popular decks right now on the format. So yeah, I really want to see the Barrier on the main deck instead of side deck, to be honest. And also on the extra deck, it plays a lot of Dogmatica Punishment targets. We have Entis, the Evil Twin, Link 4, and Aggregator as well. So yeah. Moving on, we have another Labyrinth decklist here from Lantang. Second place, Labyrinth. So this time it plays a lot of hand traps. We have 2 Nibiru, 2 Ash Blossom, and 2 Maxi with 3 Veiler and 3 Imperm. So yeah, this is a mid-range oriented type of Labyrinth decklist. The usual furniture Labyrinth, and the revelation on this list is the Rumple Twofold, which is insanely strong for the Labyrinth. This card is a very custom-made card that you are going to see on the first glance. It screams already that this card was made to support the Labyrinth, because it is insanely strong and has a very powerful effect on this Labyrinth. So yeah, I really anticipate that most Labyrinths have been adapting this card on the get-go since the release of this card of Rumple Twofold from the Phantom Nightmare. Moving on, we have Ultimate X Week 4 Ranking Duel. At first, we have Purely from Rai. So Purely is still a very relevant deck, no, on the format. You can pretty much play most of the hand traps here on the Purely. You can play Veilers and Imperms, which are good against the format right now. It can be really strong against Rescue Ace, because Veilers and Imperms are very good against Turbulence. And also on your side deck, you can have a very balanced approach. You have space for hand traps like Droll and Nibiru and Ghost Bell, and also you can also incorporate powerful floodgates on the disposal. You have a summon limit to work around, and especially Expurlinor is almost instant win most of the time the moment that you have summoned this card. So yeah, I'm not really surprised on Purely on our format right now. I do think that even though other decks got better like Fire King and Rescue Ace and Salamangreat and Snake Eyes, I do think that Purely is still up par against those decks. And then next we have Pendulum Magician. So this deck is also a very explosive one on the format. This deck is a deck that has high ceiling right now and can combo off with few pieces. We have 1 card, 2 card combos, and can set up a very recognizable board with Apollousa and Savage and Barone, all of those negation monsters. So yeah, I'm not really surprised on seeing Pendulum Magician, because this is one of the best combo decks that you can pilot right now on the format. Probably the best for me, Pendulum Magician. And we have Horus. Yeah, Horus with Synchron. So yeah, you want to go second with this deck, I assume, or go first and establish Photon Lord and something like Barone on this list. But the going second of this deck is insanely strong, no? You have the Dingirisu, you have the access to Zeus and the Buzzking. So yeah, the side deck of this card is pretty much focused on going first. So this is a very versatile deck. It can go first, it can go second, it can OTK you easily well. You have things like the Dingirisu and the high attack monsters of Horus, and also you have things like Lava Golem that can really destroy boards right now on the format. So this is a well-built deck from Arham, I assume. And then next we have Vio with Rescue Ace on a Synchro build package. This is quite refreshing to see, because most Rescue Ace have been ditching the Synchro package on their extra deck for the Link variant of Rescue Ace, because now it plays the Bonfire package with the usage of Populous and the Snake Eyes package on the Rescue Ace. So yeah, the synchro build have been what do you call this, downplayed right now on the format, but I do think that the synchro build is still functional, no? It can protect you from Lightning Storm and Evenly Match. All of those board breaker cards can be answered by the something like Baron and Dragster and Savage. So yeah, I do think that this deck is still, this build is still very strong right now on the format. Moving on, we have Duelo Iloilo. At first, we have Fire King Sinful Spoils, no? So yeah, we have Jinzo on the side deck. This is very spicy. It is insanely strong against Centurion because Centurion is a deck that uses continuous traps from their monsters mechanics. So they make their monsters as continuous traps on their disposal. So they are pretty much screwed against Jinzo because those are treated as trap cards as well. So yeah, they would really lose bad against the Jinzo tech here. And also Triple Lancea, I really like this inclusion here from the Swami Fox, the champion of the tournament. It means that he really respects the Rescue Ace matchup. You have to side Lancea to stop the Rescue Ace from snowballing out of control. So yeah, I really do agree with this Artifact Lancea. And the next we have Unchained from the finalists of Earl Andro Camara. So this is a very TCG-esque build. It plays the DDD package on the deck, and also it plays less hand traps as well rather than the usual Unchained list of OCG. So it also plays Trust on the main deck. I really do agree with that one. You have a lot of powerful normal spell cards on the deck. So yeah, it is really optimal that you play Trust on the main deck. And also, I do think that having Unchained on the format right now is pretty surprising, no? Most people have been underrating the deck for a very long time right now because of Maxi, of course. Most people doesn't really respect Unchained because of Maxi. But if you go against this deck, you will be surprised how explosive this deck can be and how powerful this deck can really be right now on the format, because most people doesn't have the in-depth knowledge to go against this deck, and including me, I don't really understand Unchained that much on a deeper scale. So yeah, I would be really frustrated on dealing against this a very powerful deck and underrated deck right now on the OCG. And the next we have Exosister. So it plays the Spirit package as usual. Only one Aratama, no? 3 Sakitama. I would prefer the second copy of Aratama, but yeah, I do think that this deck is still functional. It plays Trust and Talents on the main deck. Maybe he wants to play around Veilers and other hand traps like Ghost Ogre and Ghost Mourner, no? So the side deck is pretty much concise. It plays a lot of going second cards like Lightning Storm, DRNM, and Evenly Match. And the next we have Centurion, Horus from Paolo Flamiano. Yeah. This Centurion Horus is a deck that a staple one already on the format, to be honest. Most people have been playing the Centurion because it is almost on instant win most of the time. The moment that you summon Calamity, you are pretty much guaranteed to win the game already. And I do think that most people really likes that mechanic from the Centurion because you are not really stressed on playing the game. Maybe your opponent would get frustrated, but yeah, that's the essence of competitive game, no? You want to win as much as possible using the most dirtiest and unclean way of winning, using the mechanic of the Calamity, which is on turn skip already for the most part, no? So yeah, on the side deck it plays the Herald of the Abyss and the Trust. So yeah, this combo of Trust into Herald of the Abyss is very strong against Purely as well. And the next we have Spencer Jones Go with Centurion again. So yeah, another Centurion. I am not really surprised because most people have been playing Centurion for quite some time already on the OCG, and it is one of the most popular decks on the Philippines right now. And the next we have Metabit from Anthony Chad Latoza. So this Metabit plays extra deck, no? It plays Nadir Servant. So you have a lot of options to dump using the Nadir. We have Entis here. We have the something like the, what do you call this card? Between the Exterior and Entis. I forgot the name. Something like Dragma. Yeah. And also, Water Barrier Statue on the side deck. I do think that this is the best Barrier Statue right now on the game to play. You have things like fire decks like Rescue Ace and Fire King, so that you cannot play the Fire Statue. And also, we have Purely and Labyrinth, which has Dark Monsters, so you cannot play the Dark Barrier Statue. So yeah, I do think that this Water is the right call right now on the format. And then next we have Unchained, another Unchained. So it's already the third or fourth Unchained that we have seen already on the start of our video right now. So yeah, Unchained is pretty much popular on the Philippines as well. And also, it plays also the TCG SK build of DDD package on the Unchained, which I don't really see that much on the Japanese tournaments. They really play the Unchained conservatively rather than explosive trait. And then next we have Red Dragon Archfiend. So this list is pretty much unusual, no? It plays Skullmeister and also Forbidden Droplet on the main deck. Those two cards are not really represented right now on the format. Maybe you can use Skullmeister on some matchups like Labyrinth, no? But I do think that Ghost Bell is better than Skullmeister. And also, the Forbidden Droplet can be really surprising against combo decks on the format right now. This can really catch people off guard if they are not playing carefully against Droplet and they are not expecting Droplet. On the side deck, it plays a lot of Bestials. It plays the Lubellion, the Saronir, and the Magnumut and Druis Worm. And then next we have Fire King. So, yeah, it's the first place, Fire King. And then next we have Paducah weekly tournament. We have Exosister here. So, a going second build of Exosister only plays 2 Ash and 2 Maxi. It plays Lightning Storm, Feather Duster, and Evenly Match on the main deck. I really kinda get the logic of this approach from the player, because you want to have better chances on going second when using Exosister, because the going second of Exosister is not that good, to be honest. You really don't have that much resources to play around some huge boards. You cannot go against 2 negates as well, so you are pretty much screwed if your opponent can set up a very powerful board with a lot of negations. So yeah, it's a lot of trouble if you don't have the cards that can go second against those type of decks. And yeah, I think that Exosister is still decent right now because the Magnifica and the Returnia pass is still very strong. The next we have Matmech. So Matmech is still very relevant right now. The Super Factorial pass with a lot of hand drops on the hand cards is still very recognizable board right now. I do think that Matmech is still a very good deck, but if you're trying to play Cyber's deck, you might go as well for Salamangreat, which has better ceiling than Matmech. But yeah, Matmech still has upsides for the most part because you have things like Signet Mining and Small World, which can make your deck very consistent. And also, Super Factorial is a really tremendous card when you can resolve it perfectly. And the next we have Rescue Ace, no? With Fire Barrier Statue and Nemesis Corridor. So, Nemesis Corridor can be very good on the format, especially if you can set up the Thunder Dragon Colossus. Most Purely players cannot play around this and they're pretty much screwed, and they will scoop instantly the moment that they have seen the Colossus. And also the Fire Barrier Statue, I do think that this Fire Barrier Statue is very controversial for me because this card is pretty much useless against the Mirror Match and the Fire King. And Rescue Ace and Fire King is the most prominent decks right now on the OCG format. So yeah, I really don't recommend playing Fire Barrier Statue right now. And then moving on, we have Duel Bacolod, local tournament. Another Centurion Horus. So Centurion Horus has been tearing it off lately in the Philippines and as well as on Indonesia so far. So yeah, this deck is pretty much linear. It plays the Phantasmi on the main deck. It's really surprising because the Phantasmi is really a tough choice right now. This card can be pretty much useless against the meta right now if you are paired with Purely, if you are paired with something like Centurion. This Phantasmi will do nothing against those decks. But if you do manage to pair against Salamangreat, Rescue Ace, those link-based decks like Unchained, you are guaranteed to have a better chance against those decks because Phantasmi really boosts your consistency and can really fix your hand cards and can give you card advantages as well. So yeah, this is a really gamble from Haril. Yeah, but I do like the gamble part on his deck list from this Horus Centurion list. And the next we have my deck list from the Kaido Willis Weekly Tournament last November 4, yeah, Saturday. I played Bar Statue Stun. I know I have said that Firebar Statue is not that really good on the format right now, but on that tournament we don't really have that much of Rescue and Fire King players, so I played the Fire Statue over the Dark Statue, and because I don't have the Water Burst Statue on this list. So this list is pretty much a budget. You can already tell that this is a very budget deck. It is a poor man's anti-meta build. It doesn't have extra deck as well, and the cards are pretty much on a budget. We have Mirror Force and the Compulsory. These cards are very budget as well, and I do really like the border right now on the format. It can really stand a lot of decks on the format, and also the Light Barrier Statue can be very strong. And then moving on, we have Dumaguete monthly ranking tournament. We have Alexis Precioso with undefeated record of Purely. So this Purely main decks the Red Reboot. Maybe his locals are corrupted by trap-based decks and also Labyrinth decks and Runic decks, which has a lot of trap cards as well. So yeah, I really like this Red Reboot inclusion on the main deck of Purely, and can also be strong against the mirror match, no, against the Purely Lip, no. And the next we have Unchained once again from Duel Bacolod Sunday Tournament from the same player, John Alfred Go. So this list plays the Chaos Angel, no. So this time he played the Dark Beckoning Beast on the main deck. This is a very unusual inclusion from the player of this Unchained list, because most of the time Unchained plays the Tour Guide of the Underworld. That is their most go-to card for the most part, but yeah, it plays a different approach here from John Alfred. And the next we have another Unchained on this list. So it's like the 7th or 8th Unchained already that we have seen. So there's a lot of Unchains on this week. It plays a lot of going second cards on the side deck. You can really tell that he doesn't want to lose going second, but he still keeps the balance on his side deck. He played Skill Drain and Rivalry, which can be very strong when going first. You don't really lose to Unchained, rather Rivalry that much using this Unchained and also Skill Drain, because you have a lot of bodies on the field that can float on the graveyard, which has high attack as well. So you can just beat down your opponent even if you flip the Skill Drain and Rivalry. And the next we have Kitsune Duelist Tournament. At first here we have Manidium. So this Manidium still plays the Calamity Turbo. On Japan, it is pretty much divided because some Manadiums have been still playing the Calamity on their list, but most of them doesn't really play the Calamity right now. They just use the Manidium as a standard, or what do you call this, generic combo deck nowadays. They just end on Barone and also Savage and also the Dispater and sometimes Standard Dragon Colossus. So it's becoming like a generic combo deck nowadays on Japan, which I really see why, because most of them have been preparing for the ban of Calamity from the following ban list, because Calamity might get touched because of Centurion, of course. So yeah, I think it's a precautionary for that scenario. And the next we have Matmech, no. So it's the second Matmech already on this list. So we do have seen a lot of Matmechs already. So this time it plays the Phantom Knights Shade Brigandine. Yeah, I forgot the name. So it is a free body on the field and doesn't play the Aratama, no, only Sakitama, 2 copies of Sakitama. Maybe because Aratama is pretty much expensive right now. It plays the Harpies Feather Duster on the main deck. And then next we have Penguin. What in the world is this, to be honest? I don't really know how this deck functions. Maybe on paper, it's a floodgate deck, no? It plays rivalry and goes in much. I'm really surprised that this deck can tap on the tournament. On the extra deck, you can pretty much tell that this deck can still create some board, like the Dragite and the Trishula monsters, and yeah, Synchro monsters. So yeah, it can combo off, but it could still sit on a floodgate as well. This deck is very interesting. A Penguin, I think it's the first time that I have seen this deck top. Oh, there's another list. So yeah, moving on, we have Yu-Gi-Oh! Kotabato weekly ranking tournament. At first here we have Rescue Ace from Ian. So this list plays the sa Oravis, no? Yeah, it's from November 5, but it doesn't play the Snake Eyes package. I do think that the best version of Rescue Ace right now is with the Snake Eyes and Bonfire. But I also agree with the budget list of Rescue Ace because Bonfire have been really expensive for the past couple of days already, and most people in the Philippines cannot afford that Bonfire. So yeah, I do think that playing Rescue Ace on a budget is still good, but on higher tier tournaments, you could really struggle with consistency and firepower, especially if you go against the Bonfire decks right now on the format, like Fire King and Rescue Ace with Bonfire. And then next we have Gold Pride Punk, no? So this deck have been good on the TCG, but on the OCG, it doesn't really see representations, to be honest. Most people really underrate the Gold Pride Punk because of Maxi, of course. Maxi is such a terrible card to go against using this deck. But yeah, this deck can still top, no? I do think that this deck can surprise people, especially people like me that doesn't really know how the Gold Pride functions, to be honest. So yeah, even though you know the lines of Punk, you can pretty much get screwed from the Gold Pride line of play from them if you are not careful on interrupting this deck. And the next we have third place Fire King from Kim. So yeah, this Fire King is pretty much usual and standard. It plays the Ghost Bell on the main deck as a cross-out target maybe, or against Labyrinth, no? I do think that over Veiler, I think Ghost Bell and Droll and Lockbird is better than Veiler right now on the format. Maybe because you answer much more decks rather than the Rescue Ace matchup on this format right now. And the next we have For Hire. So a pure For Hire, wow. This is really stunning, to be honest. I'm lost for words. I haven't really thought that For Hire can tap as a pure deck. I do see that For Hire and Drunic meshes well together, can top tournaments on the TCG, but it's the first time seeing pure For Hire top on the OCG for me. So the extra deck is pretty much budget, no? You can play this deck on a budget manner. You just have to pick up the hand traps, the Ash, the Maxi. Oh, it doesn't even play the Maxi, no? It plays Droll and Veiler and Nibiru and Ghost Ogre, no? It doesn't have Maxi. Maybe it's on a side deck. But yeah, the extra deck is pretty much budget. We have Avramax, Apollousa, and Chaos Angel. Those are pretty much budget extra deck cards right now on the format. And then next we have Madolche, a featured list only from Aaron. So it is only a special list or a featured one. So we will not ponder on it too much. And then next we have Order of the Duelist and Albay ranking tournament. At first we have Scarecrow Kashtira. So this is the innovation from the Filipino people that have been sticking with Kashtira. Even though Kashtira have lost so many pieces from the ban list already, they are still trying to make ways for Kashtira to be able to compete against the format. So yeah, this list is playing the Eclipse on the main deck. I do agree with that one because this deck can easily OTK using the Scarecrow engine. And then next we have first runner-up Labyrinth. So there's a lot of Labyrinth already on our tournament reports here and decklist reviews. So this list only plays one transaction rollback. I don't really commend that one. I would like to see 2 copies of rollback for me, but for Jomar, I think he doesn't really see the value of playing rollback on his list. But for me, rollback gives you a lot of recursions and recyclability on the deck. So I really like rollback as a card for Labyrinth. And then next we have second runner-up, Jay with Centurion Horus. So this time it plays Super Poly on the main deck. This is very strong on the format. It is very strong against the Fire Kings matchup and the Rescue Ace matchups, and even against Salamangreat, and also against the Centurion and the things like Horus Orcus. So they are pretty much prone to Super Poly. I really commend the main deck Super Poly on this list, and this list also plays Bonfire on the main deck. I really don't see why he is playing Bonfire. Maybe he wants to boost the consistency of Centurion, but for me, this deck is already consistent. I would like to play more hand traps rather than Bonfire on the main deck. And then next we have Patrick, third runner-up, Bestial Branded. So this list is playing the Expulsion and the Idolak. Most of the Japanese branded players are playing the branded in a way that it doesn't play the Expulsion and the Idolak. So yeah, it is pretty unusual for me to see branded with Idolak. This branded is pretty much popular on the TCG, but it doesn't really translate that much on the OCG scheme of things. But branded is kind of falling off, no? On the metagame. Before, branded is a very relevant tier 2 deck, and now they are on a low tier 3 status right now. So yeah, branded has been on a rough spot already. I think the deck is slowly getting power crept by the newer and faster decks on the format. But yeah, I do think that branded is still capable of topping right now, and this is still a very decent deck. Moving on, we have Akard weekly tournament. At first, we have Fire King, no? So, Fire King, the Ebel Star. So, this is the latest trend on the OCG format right now. Most people have trying to play the Snake Eyes with the Sinful Spoils. So, this is the latest combo deck on the block for the OCG people right now. This deck is pretty much consistent. It plays Small World on replacement of Bonfire. I really do agree with that one, because Small World is a budget version of Bonfire for this deck, because Bonfire is very expensive right now, to be honest. But this deck is really capable of comboing off. It can make the Barone, it can make the Apollousa, and this deck can also go second and do some really crazy plays with the Prometheum right now on the extra deck, the Prisoner Princess. So this is a very strong deck for me. It has a lot of negates. It can go second easily well with the things like Unicorn and the Borel Sword Dragon on this extra deck. I think this can comfortably go second. On the side deck, it plays really interesting cards. It plays Change of Heart. It doesn't play the Trust, but it plays Change of Heart. I really like the addition of the, what they call is, a Pointer of Red Lotus on the side deck. Maybe, I think this is the correct going first card for this list. And the next we have Horus Naturia, Horus but vegan. Really funny from Adam. So yeah, this deck list is really popping off lately on Japanese tournaments and the Campus League tournaments on the Asia. There's a lot of Centurion, rather Horus Naturia, that are tapping on those tournaments. So yeah, this list is really good. It can turbo out the Calamity like the Centurion, and can also be beneficial from the discard mechanics of the Coach King Giant Trainer and the Zombie Bonfire, so that you can mill your Naturia cards and you get so much value from those Naturia monsters and cards on your graveyard. And the one thing that I really like with this deck is it can play the Naturia Beast. The Naturia Beast is instant win button against Purely and Runic. If you come across on a matchup against Purely, you are pretty much guaranteed on a win if you can summon out the Naturia Beast. And then moving on, next we have Adib. Third place we have Tearlaments. So players are still coping hard with Tearlaments now. They're still not ready to give up the deck, and most people are still playing Tearlaments by incorporating the Horus engine on the deck. They are trying to use the Zombie Bonfire to mill the Tearlaments monsters on their deck. Even though Tearlaments monsters are only 4 copies, 5 counting the Tearlaments Kashira, I think that this deck can still be a good rogue option, but I don't think it will be higher than that. I think Tearlaments have passed it already. There's a bunch of decks that are better than Tearlaments, but I really don't count out this deck, to be honest. We have been proven wrong by Tearlaments for so many times already from the previous ban list. So I do think that even though this deck is not that powerful as they used to be, I think that it is still capable of doing great things on their own. And then next we have Raid Raptor at 4th place. So this is the latest innovation of Raid Raptor. This is the recent deck build of Raid Raptor post Phantom Nightmare. So this is a very interesting list. I think Raid Raptor is one of those decks that can get really snowbally. What I mean about that is, if you cannot interrupt this deck, if you don't have interactions to stop the combo of Raid Raptor, it could really steamroll you and be really advantageous against you. So yeah, I think that even though Raid Raptor has a high ceiling on the deck, I really think that it would still struggle on the OCG format, because OCG has a lot of hand traps like Wailers and Imperms, and Maxi is a thing on OCG, of course. So yeah, this deck would really struggle around Maxi, I think. But one thing I like on this side deck is it plays the Royal Decree. It functions the same manner like Jinzo, like the tech card earlier. From the start of our video, it aims to stop the usage of trap cards like the Labyrinth matchups and also the Runic matchups, which has Floodgates, and also on be really good against Centurion. So yeah, I think this sums up our video for today. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you do learn something from this video. And if you have free time, you can visit our page on Facebook on Crown Kings Local Metagame Report video, managed by me, Kaishiro YGO. So thank you for watching. Hit the subscription button if you're not subscribed on my YouTube channel, and hit the notification bell if you want to get more updated on my future contents. So see you in the next one. Peace.